high school. Today we're going to talk about sanding and sandpaper. What an exciting topic. Sanding. When sanding a piece of wood to get it smooth, and that is the aim, we shouldn't be able to see any tool marks on the surface of the wood itself, or on the edge, or on the side. Now at the moment we can see some circular saw marks on this piece here. You can see this kind of part of a curve. And on the top we can see a bit of a plane mark. There's a bump here with a plane. On this side we can see that it's been kind of rough sawn, maybe a bandsaw mark, and certainly a bandsaw mark on this end. So to begin with, let's have a look at some sandpaper. We've got a range here. Some of it's quite well used. We're looking at these numbers. These numbers are 120, that's quite fine. Another 120, another 120. This one, 80, P80. This is the grain size or the grit size that is glued onto the paper, and that's a rougher piece. Okay. Here's another piece of P80. Okay. So the smaller that number, as that number goes down to 20 or whatever, 40, that would be a rougher piece of sandpaper. It would remove a lot more work more quickly. So this is, you'd use the lower numbers first, and then work your way up to the higher numbers like P120. So this explains the mesh that they use to sieve these particles, these hard rock particles that are glued onto the paper. So let's just take a little step back and look at sandpaper and glass paper. Sandpaper, like particles of sand, usually found at the bottom of a canary or a budgie's cage where they kind of do things on it, right? Glass is obviously refined sand and is a little bit more classy for the work that we need to do. So we're not into pet shops here, we're into producing beautiful artifacts and good surface finish. The next thing we need to pay attention to is the direction of the grain. This would be the short direction. If the grain was running this way, which it isn't, this would be a bad choice of a piece of wood possibly, but the grain is running long ways, and we need to have a look at that. So these dark brown lines show the direction of the fibres. And we need to be sanding, especially at the end when we're finishing, in the direction, the longest direction, or along the grain and not across it. If we go across the grain on the short direction, you're going to cut these fibres with a grit particle. You're going to cut it, and there's going to be a scratch across your work, and when you fill it with paint or varnish, it's going to show up and everyone's going to see that you've gone the wrong way. So you could sand across the grain to begin with, but you always want to finish with the grain at the end. Okay? So here's a sanding block, and we'll put our P80 on first. We'll wrap it around the sanding block, and we can sand our piece of work like this on a flat surface. Obviously don't sand your fingernails. Okay? And we can sand until this is completely smooth and flat. Obviously you want to turn it around and do the other side where we were holding. And we can see some dust particles actually coming off here. We can see that we're actually doing some work. Okay? Working our way down, that was the 80, this is the 120. And finish off the 120 and you get a nice smooth surface finish. Okay? Now you don't... Finishing this sharp edge is very sharp and uneven. This is the edge that we should be finishing. Okay. Again, we go with the P80, and this is called a chamfer. So we're going to put a chamfer on here at 45 degrees. So we're going to take off the sharpness. We're sanding at that angle, taking off the sharp corner. Finished with the 120, so that was the 80 grit, this is the 120. 45 degrees, nice smooth surface, and paint and varnish can now attach itself to this rather than a point, and when you drop this, the paint's not going to chip off, it's actually got something to grip onto. Okay? So that's sanding. Got it?